Hello everyone, welcome back to my backyard street lighting setup. Today we have another street lighting review of a 1957 to 58 Westinghouse OV-10iB, which stands for internal ballast or integral ballast, whatever. This is a particularly rare version of this fixture. As you might be able to notice, it appears to have a bit of a belly here, and that is because there is a very rare configuration of these that evidently not many people have found, where they have a constant wattage auto transformer or CWA ballast with capacitors to keep it at the same exact power factor and keep it lower rather than if it were the standard version of these, which has a HX or high reactance ballast, which is effectively just a transformer with no capacitors at all. So I didn't even know these things existed until a couple of years back. I found the two fixtures like this on Street View in my area, and I was like, what the heck happened to these things? I thought maybe they had a ballast replacement, and that's why they had this weird modified door. But turns out, after being able to talk with the people who own the place and acquire these, there were two. One is in someone else's hands now. These were, and plus when I took pictures of these, finally, that's when I realized that this was very factory. This was a very factory option, or very factory-looking option. There we go. That's the English I wanted. Because it's exact same casting material and thickness as the rest of the fixture, and it looks, I mean, it's, once you get closer to it, it's obvious it's not a modification. So, yeah, I was able to save these, and it's pretty neat. Only me and the other person actually have these things. And this is a 250 watt mercury vapor, obviously. Well, I mean, it could be 175. I bet they offered this package in that wattage too. But this specific one is 250. And because of how unique it is, we're going to go ahead and walk up to it here. So, as you can see, there's the ballast pouch, or capacitor pouch. It even has a chain for easy servicing. So, go ahead and loosen it up just a bit. And we'll slide it off here. There we go. So there's the two capacitors. Sorry, there we go. That's better. The lighting, it's just the way the sun is hitting it. So it's got two capacitors here, and they're the original capacitors actually, and they work perfectly. And it did have some critters living in it. I need to clean this out, but the reason I haven't yet is I'm terrified of ruining this tag. It has a completely intact Westinghouse tag showing the diagram for how to wire it, the watts, the H5 tag, that's how it tells you how old it is, and the lamp volts, which is either 100 to 130 or 200 to 260, so a pretty wide band. Current. Oh, ugh. Make sure this doesn't blow right in my freaking face. And also the capacitor assembly style. It tells you everything. It's really cool, and I don't really want to ruin this because, like I said, it's fully intact. There is some kind of numbering down there I see inside there, but I'll have to figure out a good way to clean it without ruining that. If you have any suggestions for how to preserve that paper and still get this nice and clean, let me know. Till then, I've just not disturbed those, because obviously if you don't disturb them, you're fine. Anyways, up here you have the terminal block set up for 120 right now, which is what it was wired in when it was installed. It's actually really made for a 2-inch arm, but I was able to get it to fit on this light material 1.25-inch arm there. And yeah, the ballast is really hard to see because it's pretty much, I don't know, it must be a bird feather. I don't know how the hell that got on there. But yeah, it's kind of jammed in there. You can kind of see the windings there a little bit. So the caps are just mounted directly on the ballast. And yeah, so it's in pretty good shape. These things were not used for probably 30 plus years. It had a early to mid 90s Phillips bulb in it when I took it down, so it definitely has, and that has like hardly any use on it, so it's definitely been up there. One of the interesting things about these OV-10s is that despite Westinghouse switching over to cast for all their other clamshells, they never did with this. It's, oddly enough, it's even a single housing and reflector combination. There's zero internal reflector. The housing is the reflector, so it's kind of interesting that they did this. I guess because for their small fixtures they didn't care to make the whole thing cast. Obviously this is, of course, but the rest of it isn't. And yeah, I'm on the hunt now for one of the remote ballasted versions of these and a CW or a HX version, so I can have all three. But what I've gotten here is a new old stock 90s Philips Lifeguard 250 watt lamp, brand new, and the gasket was present when I took it down, but it was just in the adhesive was in too poor of shape. And I don't know what happened here, but this was like that when they were installed. I looked back to make sure on my pictures, see if I didn't get damaged in transit on accident, but no, it was already like that. So I'm not sure how that happened. These things were pretty high up, and they were from some warehouse that I guess this apartment complex ended up occupying the land from, and then they just left them up, never used them. Because I went by at night to make sure if they worked or not, and they didn't. So anyways, we'll go ahead and reassemble this here quickly. And actually, I don't know how I'm gonna. Alright, I'll just show you all the sky then while I do this. Sorry, this video is going to be a little longer than my other ones. So if you want, you can obviously skip to the part where this thing is operating. I won't be mad. I hate flathead screws. They suck. Anyways, overall this is in really good shape actually, all things considered. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up. It's going to be very loud because that's just what it is, but it draws the amps that the tag reads, and it still has a power factor of 0.98 out of 1, which is incredibly good. So this is in really, really, really great shape. I'm very fortunate because this is one of those ballasts, like all old ballasts from this time period, that if the capacitor fails, it will destroy the ballast. So you have to be really careful when you run these things. I recommend, as most do, to test your caps before you wire it in with a capacitor tester or a voltmeter, because if you don't, you can be sorry. So as of now, with just barely lighting up, we have a power factor of 0.58, and it's drawing exactly 1 amp, which is pretty good considering. And it's currently drawing 75 watts at 1 amp, which is not bad. I'm getting 122.8 volts to this right now. A little higher than 120, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm really pleased, or I'm really happy, I should say, that I got to, I guess that's the same thing. Really happy that I was able to save these. They probably wouldn't have gone anywhere for a long time, just because they weren't in the way of anything either, so it's not like they were doomed. But, you know, a storm damage, a car crashing into it or something, because they were actually somewhat close to the street. So these poles could have been hit by a car driving down the road. So I'm glad that I was able to save these, since again, no one has this version except for me and one other collector. So, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're at 0.75 power factor now, and we're at 1.27 amps. We're at 123 watts, so we're almost there. It does tend to vibrate a lot. Power factor is 0.83 now. Amperage 1.42. It's starting to warm up a lot. It's going to 153, 160. I'm using one of these kilowatts because on these old lights I want to verify that they're still in good shape while I'm operating them, so that if I see something irregular I can pull the plug quickly and not, you know, grenade it. Because this having the original gear is the entire reason it's special, because if this were just, you know, reballasted CWA OV-10, it wouldn't be that cool. I mean, it still would be, but not to the same level. The fact that it has everything inside of it completely working all these years later is incredible. Now we're at 207 watts. Power factor of 0.94, which is absurdly good for original capacitors. That's, like I said, on point with what it should be from the factory. Most fixtures with CWA ballast are anywhere from 0.9 to 1.0 power factor. In fact, this is right now reading 0.97. If you don't believe me, here you go. Oh, of course, the lighting. You can kind of see it there. 0.97. Pretty good. 0.98 is what it finally reads at when it's ready to go, and it's 0.22 or 2.26 amps, which is pretty much what's written on the tag. So that's truly incredible. Look at that. Original gear. This is why I love Westinghouse so much. They, over time, or time has proven that Westinghouse products truly do outlast pretty much everything in terms of the number with original gear still on them, or still operating, I should say. 0.99 power factor, amazing. So yeah, it's and it's right at 272 watts, which is, that's adjusting for the ballast loss. That's about what it should be at. So this is full brightness now. I'll go ahead and open it up just so you can look at it. The latch is a little bit on the annoying side. It's not typical Westinghouse. It's kind of a bail, almost a bail style latch. There you go. A 90s Philips Lifeguard. Which I actually have a 250 watt Lifeguard I can run in here that's from the 70s. Just occurred to me I should have put that in here for the video, but whatever. This was already in there, so why not? But yeah, this thing is absolutely awesome. Very fortunate to have this. And in all the storms, I actually pulled the glass off to save that glassware in case of hail, because I only have one lens like that, which sucks because I have an OV-10iB, which again, they use the same lens as these. So when I make a video of the OV-14, I'll have to use the lens off this. Unless I'm able to get a spare, which I'm trying to work on that. This is not your standard Hall of Fame small footprint glass. This is Westinghouse's own proprietary design, so it does not fit on anything else, except for Westinghouse fixtures, which are the OV-10, the OV-14B, and the OV-12. So, yeah, pretty neat. But I guess that is all I have for this fixture. Sorry it was a little bit longer of a video, but the fixture itself is too cool not to film, so, and I think it deserves a little bit longer of camera time because of how neat it is. So yeah, I know I don't sound like I'm super excited to have this, but trust me, I really am. I just don't. Part of it is because I'm outside, and in this kind of neighborhood, if anybody else is outside, they can hear me talking, so I kind of feel slightly awkward, not gonna lie, doing this out here. It was a little bit easier to be myself in the garage with the pole on the wall, but this is better for, sorry, that's my dog. This is better for the aesthetics, being able to test different arm designs with the fixtures, and also more room for me to move around, and I'm able to put up multiple fixtures in a row, which is cool. So that's pretty much all I have on this one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you again for watching. You know what, since you can see the arc tube kind of, actually let me lower that down so you really can. I know some of y'all like to see the cool down of the arc tube, so we'll do that. There we go. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll try to make more as time goes on. The weather's nice, so should be able to. It's just a matter of free time, but yeah, I'll do my best to get some more of these out, because like I said before, there's lots of street lights I still haven't filmed. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.